It's never easy getting sick, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. And now that the flu season is in full swing, the challenge is even greater. Much like COVID-19, influenza or the flu or trangkaso sa Tagalog is also a virus. And getting infected by a virus can happen so very easily through droplets in the air when people with the flu cough, sneeze, or even talk. These droplets can also land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby, which can be inhaled into our lungs. You can also get infected by touching surfaces that are contaminated by germs. But exposure to a virus doesn't mean you will get sick automatically. Your antibodies and immune system can help you fight an infection. But your body can only produce antibodies if you've been exposed to that virus in the past or through a vaccine. This is why we are encouraging everyone to get the flu shot annually. And during this time of COVID-19, you must get vaccinated. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome to Med Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Is it the flu or COVID-19? Is it the common cold or the flu? Our guest today will help us understand the difference. Joining us are Dr. Mercedita Macalintal, who's a pediatrician at Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Also with us is Dr. Cheridin Oro Josef. She's a family and geriatric medicine specialist from Marikina Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. I'll start the conversation with Dr. Cheri. Dr. Cheri, since itong flu attacks natin affects our immune system, our respiratory system, gaano ba kadali ang mahawaan ng trangkaso or ang flu?
It attacks our cells, it makes use of our own machinery, and then they replicate. And then when they replicate, they make daughter cells with the virus and then infects other cells. So inside the body, ganun po siya kabilis mag-replicate. Now from outside naman, if you are very near somebody who is sick, no, na merong flu, may influenza virus, malapit po kayo, nahatching siya, nalanghap mo, bigla ka nag-inhale, napasok sa yung nasal orifices and in your mouth, then you will get infected.
Dr. Cheri, pag-usapan naman natin itong mga simptomas that someone can differentiate itong simpon or ang common cold at ang trangkaso para mas aware ang ating mga viewers.
Pag sinabi kasi nating trangkaso, ito po ay meron na tayong infection, no? May virus na pumasok sa ating katawan or any other or microorganism, no, that causes the following symptoms: lagnat, ubo, sipon, sakit ng ulo, sakit ng katawan, parang yung bugbog saradong pakiramdam, you feel fatigued, and sometimes you may have difficulty of breathing because of your frequent coughing, no? So, itong mga sintomas po na ito ay pare-pareho po naman sa lahat ng viruses. Kaya nga, we are saying, unless yung flu, COVID-19, and the other viruses, the coronaviruses per se, for example, that causes the common cold, lahat po yan pare-pareho ang sintomas unless we do some testing.
Dr. Mercy, what is a good response kapag ang mga viewers natin ay nakaramdam nitong mga sintomas na ganito?
It is highly contagious if you are not covering your mouth, your eyes, your nose. And when you already have the symptoms, first and foremost that you need to do is to isolate yourself para hindi na mahawa yung ibang mga tao sa kapaligiran mo, because you are spreading fomites already and there will be a high concentration of viruses in the air. So you have to isolate yourself, put a mask so that you will not spread the virus through the air.
Pagdating sa mga bata, there are a lot of parents also are concerned, ano? When it comes to children, sometimes we see a lot of children, sinasabi lang sakitin ang mga bata na ito. What is the main reason why kids can develop common colds or even the flu more often than adults?
There are seasons, no? Especially now, the colder season, we are more susceptible to develop cough and cold simply because a lot of us are staying indoors. And when we are indoors, the number of people, of course, inside the house are much larger, no? Mas maraming tao sa loob, mas nagiging congested tayo. So, having said that, as I have said earlier, mas mataas yung nagiging viral load ng air or ng fomites sa air. So itong mga batang to, mas nai-inhale nila yung mas maraming number of viruses while they are staying inside.
Other than trying to build up the immune system to fight the cold or yung flu, yung trangkaso, how else can our viewers relieve the symptoms ng flu? From the fever to the aches and pains and maybe some of the nasal congestion as well?
If you don't have the virus yet, okay, if you don't have the flu yet, you have to strengthen your immune system by, number one, taking enough sleep, because sleep can energize or boost your immune system. Hydrate yourself. Make sure that you are well hydrated. You can take water or juices for that matter. You can also take a lot of supplements. No, there are so many supplements that can boost your immune system, and also some minerals, not only vitamins but also minerals such as your vitamin C, your vitamin D, vitamin A, E, and for the minerals, it's zinc, which are also very important. So all of this, you can take them as a regular measure to strengthen your immune systems to avoid, okay, getting easily flu or any virus for that matter.
Kapag meron ng trangkaso, effective pa ba ang pag-inom ng high doses of all these vitamins and supplements?
I know a lot of people are taking vitamin C, especially when they are sick. Studies have shown that vitamin C will not prevent you from having these viruses, but it can lessen the course or the duration of the illness. While vitamin D is very important because they have studies have shown that it can improve your immune system, because vitamin D has been found out that almost all our cells in the body have a receptor for vitamin D, especially for the immune system cells, no, that fight infection.
Dr. Cherry, effective bang antibiotics for the treatment of the flu?
Filipinos, sometimes we consult at a later part na of the illness. So kung kailan medyo masama na pakiramdam talaga, marami nang nahihirapan ng huminga sometimes. And sometimes, there's already a bacterial contamination with the virus. That's why you are given antibiotics sometimes when you have that symptoms, because doctors feel you already have a what we call bacterial superinfection. But antibiotic doesn't work for viruses. Okay? So, hindi po gamot ang antibiotics para po sa mga viruses.
So, you have a runny nose or you're super congested. Does it mean that you have the flu right away? How can one tell the difference between the flu and COVID-19? We'll have the answers for you in just a moment. We're together in health here on MedTalk Health Talk, only here on CNN Philippines. This time of the year brings joy to many because the holiday season is here. But it's also associated with the common cold as well as the flu. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk, where your health always comes first. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. We were talking earlier about how the symptoms of the flu and how they all happen relatively quick or sudden, while symptoms of the common cold are, for the most part, milder, and also they gradually develop. Dr. Cherry, how about comparing yung mga simptomas ng COVID-19 at ng flu? Pwede ba natin pag-usapan yun ngayon?
Flu at ng COVID-19 are very similar, no? The usual cough, cold, and fever. I think it's on the length or the time, no? Kung kailan lumalabas yung sintomas. Normally, kapag flu, yung sakit natin, di ba, mabilis po the next day pag nahawa tayo, minsan may runny nose na tayo, masakit na ulo, minsan may low-grade fever, may konting cough, no? So the next day po yun na hawa tayo from somebody who has influenza. Now, with COVID, we notice symptoms may appear on the second day, but normally, typically, on the 5th day and so on, no? Yung symptoms. And then studies have shown even on the 10th day, no? And for some, even on the 20th day, pwede pang mag-manifest yung symptoms nila if it's COVID-19.
Dr. Mercy, pag-usapan natin yung importance ng testing for COVID-19. When our viewers feel any of these symptoms, is it okay for them to assume the worst kaagad?
Unless proven otherwise, we have to have ourselves checked because the symptoms of flu and COVID initially are the same. So we would like to make sure that we are just having a common colds and not a COVID. Of course, there are signs and symptoms of COVID that are also mild, no? Not all COVID are having severe symptoms. So it is always better to have ourselves checked to make sure that we are not having the COVID, but instead just simple seasonal flu.
For parents of children then, when they find that that their children have symptoms like what we mentioned earlier, should they also think of it as COVID-19 initially until proven otherwise?
Children are not having a high susceptibility to COVID, okay? We have to make a very good history. And of course, with the limited access to face-to-face consultation, I would suggest that they go and seek consultation to their pediatrician for further history taking, and through the help of telemedicine, they can more or less examine the patient through the help also of the parents for the other signs and symptoms to differentiate it, or if a test is needed to further analyze whether it is a flu or a COVID.
Now, Dr. Mers, continuing with children, are there symptoms of the flu that is very evident in children that can help the parents differentiate it from the common cold?
The initial symptoms might be the same, but as the days goes on, okay, it can manifest and it can unfold on a different manner. For example, if it is COVID and the child would not only experience congestion, but they can also experience other systemic manifestations. Some children would have abdominal pain. Some children would have diarrhea, in which case we seldom see this in an ordinary flu.
Now, Dr. Cherry, pag-usapan naman natin kung ano ang dapat gawin ng ating mga viewers kapag meron na silang naramdaman symptoms pero wala pa silang test na ginawa for COVID-19. Is the protocols for quarantine or isolation similar whether you have the flu or COVID-19?
Flu and COVID-19 being similar viral infection and also pwede mag-predispose to a complicated disease. Yes po, isolate din po tayo kung ito po ay trangkaso, pakiramdam lang natin, no? Flu, kasi nga wala pa po tayong testing. We have to wear mask, and inside the house, if we can isolate and do not hug your kids, do not embrace everybody when you're feeling all these symptoms. Kasi nga, hindi pa natin alam kung ano po yung meron tayo. So better po to protect the people around us, we better use the mask and use the isolation protocols if we can. And then better to have the test done para meron na po tayong peace of mind.
How about the complications of the flu? Kapag hindi ito naagapan, hindi nakakuha ng tamang pahinga or treatment ang isang taong may flu, how bad can it get?
Ang flu po, pwede din po magkaroon ng komplikasyon na pulmonya, okay? Pneumonia. It can also affect yung mga taong may mga chronic diseases. So it can also have effects on the heart, may chronic heart diseases. So the lungs, those with asthma and other COPD and other respiratory illnesses, they can be more complicated kung hindi po nagamot o hindi po naagapan ng flu, or nagkaroon po ito ng tinatawag ko nga ng super infection or nagkaroon ng bacterial contamination.
While there are differences, there are also similarities between COVID-19 and the flu. And knowing these can help you understand how you need to be treated and all that you need to do to recover from either one. We'll explain after a very short break. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk here on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk, where caring is our calling. Our topic for today is the seasonal flu, and cases are common this time of year. During this pandemic, we need to focus even more on our health. Dr. Mers, pagdating sa flu, one of the protections that we advocate is the use of a vaccine. Could you explain to our viewers the benefits of the flu vaccine?
Just like any other vaccination, the principle for getting a vaccine is to develop an antibody from it, so that when the body is exposed to a particular antigen, or like a virus or a bacteria, the immune system will remember them. We call it the memory cell of the body. And in that way, when they remember these viruses or bacteria, they will release soldiers that will fight against these viruses and bacteria.
Para sa mga parents who are thinking that they need the flu vaccine for their children as well, is this a standard vaccine given to children?
It is recommended, especially nowadays that we have COVID, and there is a very thin line to differentiate between flu and COVID. So it is wise for us to receive a flu vaccine. At least you have eliminated already the possibility of getting flu.
Vaccine for the flu is not generally indicated for children, but there are vaccine-preventable diseases that are very important to children as well that we'd like to point out for the parents out there. Could you explain a little bit more on these?
Our government have this program, okay? We call them the mass immunization program for children, or the expanded program for vaccination or immunization. So basically, we give them from birth, we give them BCG, that is against for tuberculosis, the hepatitis B, which is a 3 series of vaccination. We give the diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, that is for primary vaccination. We give that for 6 weeks of age until about 6 months, and then there will be a booster thereafter. And we also give a series of the rotaviruses. We give series of hepatitis B, and the measles, the chickenpox. So these are important vaccines that has to be given for your children.
Dr. Cherry, pag-usapan naman natin ang flu vaccine at ang pneumonia vaccine. Sino ang makaka-benefit dito sa mga vaccines na to? And could you explain the difference of the two?
Yung flu vaccine po, of course, it's for the viral influenza. So we have different types of influenza, A and B, no? And the pneumonia vaccine naman po, different strains naman of microorganisms po that causes pneumonia. So may mga bacteria na nagkakos ng pneumonia. So ito po yung bakuna para sa pulmonya. Now, actually, we vaccinate the children and the adults. But for the adults, the older persons, the geriatric population, also recommended to have the flu and the pneumonia vaccines. Why? Because for the older population, ang pneumonia po is the second leading cause of morbidity for them, no? And then also it can cause mortality for them. So we recommend flu vaccine annually and also a pneumonia vaccine every 5 years, no, for our older population para po maproteksyonan sila.
Pag-usapan naman natin ang mga pwedeng home remedies. Ang paborito natin mga viewers, mga home remedies na pwedeng gawin nila kapag meron silang trangkaso.
We can take naman mga pain relievers, no, that can help us tolerate the pain. So pwede tayong magparacetamol, etc. Or we drink a lot of water. That's number 1. So 1 glass every 2 to 3 hours will help you hydrate your body and will help you fight the virus. And then you sleep well. Matulog po tayo. And then you eat some fruits, which is high in vitamin C. And of course, again, vegetables po.
Dr. Mers, when it comes to protecting children, lalo na ngayon na face-to-face classes are starting, what advice can you give the parents?
Well, number 1, always practice good hygiene. You have to teach your children to wash their hands with soap and water, or with antiseptic like alcohol every now and then. If before touching a surface, wash their hands with alcohol. After touching their any surfaces like desk or table, then they have to wash their hands as well. And also, they have to constantly wear their mask. No, do not put them under their under their chin or over the head, no, like ginagawang headband. So kailangan i-wear natin. And also, we have to practice social distancing. We have to remind our children not to embrace, not to share food if ever, no? And I'm sure they are not allowed to eat in one place.
Thank you very much for your time, pediatrician Dr. Mercedita Macalintal and family medicine specialist Dr. Cheridin Oro-Josef. Thank you very much for your insights and information about the flu. And I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Staying well is key during this time of COVID-19. Thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.